There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. My name is Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, your host. Today is September 2nd, 2021, and we are here back in the studio after our battles and struggles with COVID. So thank you so much, Alan Krajcik, our former chief of police, who's my guest to the left, and Pastor John Polk, pastor of the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, for joining me today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and the reason I've asked you to join me is because Pastor Polk is newly a new permanent pastor. He was our interim pastor for 3 years. We all got to know him and love him, and we are so fortunate that he has been able to become our permanent pastor. Full disclosure, I'm a member of the Congregation, Holy Trinity Lutheran Church on Lincoln Street. And to my left is Alan Krajcik. Not only was he the former chief of police who did a magnificent job leading our police force, but he is also president of the church council. So why don't we start with you, Alan? Tell me what you were, as president of the council, what were the council members looking for in a permanent pastor?
Well, we were fortunate to have an interim pastor, which made it a little bit easier. The process still went out of town, so to speak. We opened it up looking for a permanent pastor, and the qualifications were, of course, leadership, commitment, compassion, very spiritually enriched and giving, which Pastor Polk has met all of those, the criteria for that. We had a call committee that was formed, and they went through the process, and Pastor Polk was the unanimous person to be called for the permanent position. And he has tremendous characteristics, as I said, the leadership and his compassion, his sense of humor, commitment. He could bring people together, bring teams together, and he was just the best choice, without a doubt, for our church and for our community. And he's done an outstanding job. And we're very happy that he's going to have his official installation coming up a week from this Sunday, September 12th. And the community is invited. Just go to our website, the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church website here in Easton, and you'll see more information about it.
And you need to sign up because it's going to be outdoors, burgers, and Frank's, and all the good cooking of Joan Lundgren. Those of you who know her cakes and other treats will be happy to come to that occasion and support Pastor Polk and support our community at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church.
And food from Not Just Tabbouleh.
Right.
On Center Street, which is outstanding, of course, and a bouncy house and other activities for kids, for people of all ages.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And there's going to be 3 performances. There are 3 groups that use our building. One of them is the drama kids, they'll be performing. And another is the German band that will be performing. And the third group that will be performing are the elite twirlers, girls who throw batons and do a fabulous job.
Wow.
So those performances will be after the worship service in the sanctuary.
And I can assure you that the Umpa band, the German band, is quite an assembly of musicians and fabulous music. So maybe you should bring your dancing shoes too. Anyway, and full disclosure, I was on the call committee. So yes, and I must tell the listening audience that I was not the only person on that committee who said that they had never been so inspired by a pastor as they had been by Pastor Polk's sermons and his graciousness and his ability to communicate to all ages, seniors like me or the little kids running around. Everybody loves Pastor Polk. And so we hope that you might get a chance to love him too, and invite you to come to church on a Sunday. Services start at 9:45. Until the weather prevents us, we're going to have outdoor services every other week, and then indoor with masking and distancing. So, Pastor Polk, tell me what inspired you originally to get into the ministry?
Well, thank you for that question, and thank you, Priscilla and Alan, for being here with me. That's a good question. It's a question that I get often. I come from a long line of pastors in my family. My grandfather and my great-grandfather were Lutheran Norwegian pastors, and I have a bunch of uncles and cousins that are pastors, so there was some expectation that I would become a pastor, although I did not want to become a pastor, and I never planned on becoming a pastor. I went through my college years not planning on that, planning on other careers. But I had a very specific spiritual experience about a year after leaving, about a year after graduating from college. And that spiritual experience spoke directly to me to call me to the ordained ministry. So I often say I went kicking and screaming because I had lots of other plans for myself. But it was that experience that was absolutely definite and affirming that called me to change my plans and go to seminary and begin the process of ordination.
Yes, and I think that's wonderful because God was really stepping in and spoiling your plans. And I understand, am I not right, that one of those avenues was the law?
Yes, that was one of the brief explorations I had after college. But I took the law exam. What's it called?
Yeah, the.
LSAT?
No, the.
Oh, no, I can't remember now.
Anyway,
It's been too long since I took it.
Anyway, I did terribly on it, so that ended that dream. But I also wanted to perhaps be a banker. I also wanted to perhaps be a professor of ancient Greek and Latin or ancient history. That's what I majored in college, but all those plans went away when I received that very specific call from God to do something quite different.
Well, I think you made the right choice, because as a retired lawyer, I can attest to the fact that it's a very stressful job that most of my colleagues after 10 years say, I wish I had chosen something else, because there's a lot of lack of appreciation, a lot of ups and downs, winning and losing, and caring for your clients, but many times it's just the effort goes unappreciated, and sometimes it doesn't go your way, so it's very stressful. So I think you have made a choice that's really important, because you benefit so many people. So tell me a little bit about that. What are the sorts of encounters that you've had serving the people at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church that you feel are really meaningful?
Well, that's one of the things I love about my job. There are so many different ways to encounter people and to be involved in people's lives, and it's a real honor and a privilege to serve in this way because, for instance, in some cases when I have the opportunity to minister to people who are in crisis, whether they're in the hospital because of some sort of health crisis, or they're going through some kind of personal crisis or relationship crisis, I am invited into their very intimate and personal world to be there to support them, to provide compassionate care, and to just really accompany them on their journey through what for many of them is like going through hell. And it's such an honor to be invited into people's lives at those critical times, because people, when they're suffering, are very vulnerable. They're hurting, they're grieving, they're in pain, and I get to be with them and provide some sort of comfort to them, some sort of guidance, and really, like I said, just to journey along with them in their pain.
So, Ellen, what have you seen that Pastor has helped people and benefited people? Can you give us some specific examples that you're very proud of that Pastor Polk has accomplished?
I know he's done a lot since he's been here, both as an interim and now as our full-time pastor. He's done a tremendous amount of work bringing the church teams together, reforming committees, and just getting a tremendous amount of work done. One of the things that I wanted to say, the pastor before coming here was at Mass General Hospital as a chaplain, and not only as a chaplain, but head of the chaplaincy at Mass General Hospital for many, many years. And he was there during the unfortunate, the horrific Boston Marathon bombing. And I know he assisted and counseled many people during that crisis. He's just very good at what he does. He's, as you say, a round peg in a round hole. He's well suited for the job, the occupation, the calling that he's in right now. So we're very proud to have him. As far as specific examples, I'm not really sure because he's very confidential, but I know he has helped many people, although again, I don't even know of many of the specifics, but it's gotten back to me that he's helped many, many people who have come to him in times of need. And not just people within our church, but within our community. And when I say the community, I mean the greater community, Brockton, Stoughton, Mansfield, Easton, and so on. So, our church reaches beyond just the community boundaries.
Yes, that's true. And for example, we have a fund that people contribute to, which is a social assistance fund. And Pastor, you have probably dispersed funds from that fund to as many people outside of our church community as inside. Isn't that correct?
Yes, and that's really what it's for. One of the most remarkable things about the people at Holy Trinity is their generosity. There's really an abundance of passion to give what people have to share to help people. For example, during the pandemic, this last year and a half, we started a special pandemic social assistance fund, which has raised over $10,000 just from people's individual giving. And much of those funds have already been dispersed to people in need, both within the congregation and outside the congregation. It goes to help people with things like rent assistance, food, transportation costs, anything, any part of people's lives that they find lacking, that they're hurting. The pandemic has certainly brought on an enormous amount of suffering, so that assistance has come in handy for people who are in need. So please keep that in mind. If you do need assistance, please give me a call. All the assistance I give and the interactions I have with people who are in need are completely confidential.
Mm-hmm. Right. And with all the loss of jobs because of the pandemic, people were really out of funds, and so how to pay the rent, how to buy the food, and so forth must have been very challenging for many of our residents, not just here in Easton, but in the surrounding communities, as Alan pointed out. So tell me, your sermons are truly inspiring. Now, I know people from other faiths who now come regularly to church because they've heard you speak. One of my friends came because a neighbor put a lily on the altar at Easter in memory of her husband, and she has become one of the most active people in the church. And she was raised in another faith, and but she told me, and she hadn't been to church in decades, but she said, well, if I ever find a priest or a minister who inspires me, I'll be there every Sunday. Well, that Easter sermon, Pastor, must have been really good, because she has been faithful attendant ever since. And do you get reports like that from people? I know you gave me a reference as a call member person. You gave a reference to the call committee of somebody who was not a member of our church and not a member of our faith as a reference. And the glowing character reference that she provided was amazing. So your interaction with people has had a profound effect on them. How has it had on you?
Well, the effect on me has resulted in me continuing to be at Holy Trinity. The impact, one of the reasons I'm so grateful and so happy to be now the permanent pastor of Holy Trinity is because of the people at Holy Trinity. They are a kind, generous, compassionate people, and I believe that everything that I give of myself to people in ministry, I get twofold back to me, because it's so rewarding. It's so gratifying to be a part of people's lives and really try to make a difference. It fills me up, it satisfies me, and I think the greatest reward in this kind of work is to know that I, through the Holy Spirit, is making a difference to people.
Yeah, and Alan, what about his sense of humor? I mean, he's fun. He's not a stodgy old pastor of yesteryear. He's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And my friend, and by the way, he invited her out to coffee at the Beanery. Well, who does that? That's not the pastor of old.
That's my office away from my office, is the Beanery.
And his sense of humor is well known. I mean, you must see that as president of the church council.
Yes, I do. And he's very down to earth, like you say, not at all stodgy or easy. He's very easygoing, self-deprecating, and we have a good time. It's relaxed. And when he first came as the interim pastor, speaking of the Beanery, he made a lot of phone calls to people who were active in the church and some who had not been active for a while, inviting to meet with them one-on-one and just to get to know them, and so they got to know him a little bit, either at their homes or some independent place like Starbucks or the Beanery or wherever. And a lot of people were very appreciative of the time and effort that he put into getting out into the community and meeting people. And he asked me to give him a tour of the community when he came here, so we got to know it a little bit better. So we had a good time going around and showing him the various parts of the community. It's a big town with a lot of wonderful people here. So it's all been very, very positive.
And Ellen, what about the fact that he is a really, really good listener?
People, again, appreciate that, and that's very important for, I think, a pastor, a priest, or anybody in his position to not to just tell, but to sell, to listen, do more listening than talking. And people appreciate getting things off their chest or voicing their opinion and having their feelings or their opinion actually heard and listened to, and understand what they're coming from. Then he can ease his way in to help the person who might be in a difficult situation.
Yeah, and years ago, pastors always wanted to preach when they heard suffering and give advice right off the top of their heads. What would God want for you and all that? But not Pastor Polk. He listens and he asks them what they need to hear and what they need to do and what their goals are to alleviate their own suffering, whatever. So he's not a preachy type. He doesn't tell you what to do. He helps you to find your answers to your problems. And that's the greatest, isn't it? Well, anyway, so tell me, you're looking forward to this installation day, I know. And speaking of fun, he wasn't going to have a catered banquet in a formal dining area in the fellowship hall or anything like that. It's going to be outside with a jumping what?
A bouncy house for the kids and a very large tent.
Oh, in a very large tent, which will be out in front. So when you're passing by at 3 p.m., you will see people out there enjoying the food. What time is the ceremony?
It begins at 2:30, and the celebration outside begins about 3:30. So
please come and join inside with masks and distancing, and also outside because Pastor insisted on a menu. And what is that going to be?
Menu, well, from we're going to have grilled hamburgers and brats and hot dogs. We're from Tabbouleh, what's the name of it?
Not just Tabbouleh.
Not just Tabbouleh. They have fabulous food. We're going to have grilled chicken and pulled pork, and then all kinds of salads and desserts. And the dessert is my specialty, and that is not my, because I love ice cream. we're having ice cream sundaes.
So you can pick your topping. And unfortunately, I will not be available that day, so I'm going to miss it. But I'm sure there'll be some video cameras there, and maybe we can get ECAT to be one of them. So you may view the ceremony and also the fun festivities that follow from the comfort of your home, if you can attend. But if you want to attend, please call the office at 508-238-6666, very difficult number to remember, and let them know that you're attending and how many members in your family, so that sufficient food can be provided. So Pastor Polk, what do you see as the challenges? I know I attended some of the team meetings that you set up, and we were brainstorming as to what we could do to reach out to the community and how we could be better God-fearing people, because that's what Jesus said. You know, we're here to serve, we're here to be merciful and to do justice and to walk humbly with our God. And that was from Micah 5, I think. That's one of my favorite quotes. I don't quote it always accurately, but you understand the gist. And so I thought that that is so important. And we have projects that we've been doing in the past and projects we're going to be doing in the future. Can you give us an idea of some of the things that we might be challenged to provide for the community?
Sure. I think one of the biggest challenges, and this was true even before the pandemic, I think one of the greatest challenges that we face as a community is people's isolation. The pandemic certainly has forced isolation on people, but I think in general, one of the things that we are aware of and are discovering more and more is how alone people are, how people lack a sense of community, how people are lacking in their isolation some just real basic needs. It may not seem like it, but here in Easton, but there are people who are going hungry. There are people without jobs. There are people on the verge of homelessness. And the only way to find out what people's needs are is to give people a safe place where they can communicate and be together. And I think that's one of the missions of the church, is to bring people together in the community, no matter who they are, no matter what religion they are, no matter what background they are, bring people together so that we can identify each other's needs and support one another, and whenever possible, meet each other's needs.
It's a great mission, and that's really what the church is about, should be about, and will be about. Alan, so what do you see as some of the challenges in the future for Holy Trinity Lutheran Church and for Easton in general?
Well, certainly what Pastor mentioned about the needs after the pandemic. Well, the pandemic is still going on, but people on the verge of homelessness and so on. But the immediate needs of the church, of course, we're always looking for more participants, communicants, and we always have, as many other churches, financial issues, although we're doing pretty well right now, but certainly financial stability, keeping the building itself going, but the building itself is secondary to the mission of the church. And I'm just very proud of a lot of the things that Pastor and many others in our church have started. We're helping Father Bill's Mainspring House. We've done food outreach programs. We help Easton Food Pantry and other food pantries, Stoughton, Taunton, other areas too. So we're doing a lot of outreach, a lot of good hard work for people who are in need, and that's really what it's about.
Yeah, and we also, our facility is used by AA and by the Oompa Band and the Twirlers and the Drama Club and Scouting, all the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and then those little ones. What are they called? Cub Scouts?
The Cub Scouts, yeah.
Yeah, and and people can rent at a very reasonable cost our fellowship hall, which includes a big kitchen, and other areas in the building. So you can always check that out. Birthday parties, retirement parties, anniversary parties, and bridal showers, baby showers, you name it. We got it. So that helps continue the financial foundation, which is necessary for us to do all the outreach, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're very proud of the fact that we have found the perfect person to lead our community. He's fun-loving, he's smart, he's articulate, and his sermons always inspire. And my question to him is, every Sunday, when are you going to give a bad sermon? I mean, really? When are you not going to inspire us to go out and to really rethink our priorities in the coming week? And what are you giving, and when are you not going to make us feel spiritually sound? I'm waiting.
Well, I take comfort in the good news that I know if my preaching reaches at least one person a Sunday, whether it be in person or through our videotaping, I know that I've done my job, even if it's just one person.
Yes, and thank you for reminding us. Alan, what's the websites in the Facebook page and all those contact information pages so that people can tune in and you can actually hear one of these inspiring sermons, right?
Yes, on the website and on our Facebook page, both every Sunday.
So there's no excuse. I mean, if you want to be inspired, if you want to get a really good taste of this man, you tune in to
htlceaston.org, HTLC, Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, Easton.org, and you could find out quite a bit of information there.
And that's our website. What about on Facebook?
Well, just search for Holy Trinity Lutheran Church.
Yeah, Holy Trinity Lutheran Church on Facebook.
In Easton, there's tons of those churches all over the country. So
yeah,
sure
you might end up
Easton.
in Pennsylvania or New Hampshire or something if you don't plug in Easton.
Right. So that is, and you get a taste of the community, and I can assure you that coming on one Sunday doesn't obligate you to become a member, but you probably, after a while, couldn't resist. But that's your choice. All we do is ask that you come and find out what we're all about and be inspired. But check the website, listen to some sermons, and you will be blown away, as my friend said, who never went to church for decades and comes every Sunday to hear this wonderful man preach. But there's much more than preaching. It's doing. And I hope we've outlined some things today. Are there any final words, Alan, you want to say?
No, just thank you for hosting us. This has been very good. Thank you, Priscilla.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah. And any parting words?
Well, thank you again for this opportunity. I just want to say that one of the things that I'm passionate about, and I know the community of Holy Trinity is passionate about, is being a part of creating what Martin Luther King Jr. first called the beloved community, followed by John Lewis preaching the same thing. We are about creating such a community, and we all know that we have a long way to go. This is a terribly tough time in our country. There is so much division and so much, quite frankly, hate out there. The church is called to be a beacon of light and hope, and to be a part of bringing us all together so that we can truly live in what Martin Luther King Jr. called the beloved community.
Yes, and we are also a reconciling community, and perhaps, Pastor, you could share what that means.
Reconciling in Christ's Congregation is a congregation that has been very intentional about going through a process of understanding and accepting what it means to welcome all people into our fellowship, especially people who happen to be LGBTQ. By being a reconciled in Christ church, we have made a very public statement that we are affirming and supporting and welcoming of people no matter who they love.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
I thank you so much for coming today, and I thank the listening and viewing audience for your participation. And don't forget, htlceaston.org. Check us out, and be well until we meet again. This is Priscilla Almquist-Olsen bidding you farewell, and I hope to see you at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church some Sunday, or at the installation on September
12th,
12th,
2:30.
2:30 in the church, 3:30 outside and make your own sundae. Oh, that's a good, all I can think of is the word in Swedish. What am I trying to say? Pun? A good play word. What is
Sunday,
it?
Sundays
Play on
on
words.
Sunday.
Have
Sundays
a-
on Sundays.
Have a Sunday on Sunday, yep.
Right. So again, thank you so much.
Thank
Be
you.
well. Be well. Until next time.